everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are so excited to have you here during our Q&A. So I heard that there were some streaming issues because formats. And so I have been working very closely with the Filmocracy team, and we have that if you bought a ticket to this particular film block, that you have been upgraded to the day pass. So you will have access to everything until midnight tonight. So that means there's another film block that you'll be able to watch, and you'll be able to check out what Filmocracy is supposed to look like. The reason why the films came out funny is because just from a technical perspective, it's supposed to be an MP4 format, and some of the files that were sent over were in MOV format. And they're supposed to be in 16:9 ratio, and it wasn't. That's just for those who are technical and understand what I just said. That's the reason why it didn't stream properly. On their streaming platform, it has to have very specific specs. That is the reason why, but the film should all play beautifully in the on-demand building. So if you go out, if you missed, like I know Ghost in the Gun had some problems, I know Junior had some problems, and All Shook Up had problems. If you actually go into the on-demand building, you'll be able to find the film and you should be able to play it with no problems. But again, there is film block number 9 after this Q&A session, and all the films in that block should play beautifully. So with that being said, I will go ahead and I will say this message again at the end of our Q&A for those who are joining our Q&A a little bit late who missed any part of that announcement. Without further ado, I'm going to start bringing up some of our filmmakers from this fantastic film block. So I see some people in the audience. I see Andrew Chen, who is our filmmaker for Ghost in the Gun. So Andrew, come on up to the stage. Oh, wait. He disappeared. He disappeared. Okay, so Andrew, until you get connected again, I'm going to go down the line and I'm going to go ahead and bring up Matthew Ryuda.
Hello.
Why, hello.
Hey,
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Q&A. So, Matt, would you be so kind and would you introduce yourself and introduce the film that you had playing in this block?
Sure. First, I feel like this is the finish line.
You're almost there.
I know. Except as my dad would say, you left a word out in the N. It should be Finnish because we're Finnish. So my name is Matthew Ryuda, and yes, I'm Finnish, and Finn Power. And I had a film entitled Across.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. And we're going to dive deep in the questions as soon as I get our other filmmakers up on the stage. Next, I see Matthew Ramsar. Matthew, would you please come on up to the stage? Matthew? Let me see. Okay, let's go ahead. Bring him up on stage. Matthew?
There we go.
Why, hello.
Hello. How's it going, other Matthew?
Good. Please introduce yourself and let us know what film you had playing in this block.
Yeah, my name is Matthew Ramsor. I am the director for All Shook Up.
Great. All right, and I see, like going through the list, I see Bonnie. Bonnie, would you come on down to the stage? I feel like I'm like the host for Price is Right. Come on down.
Showcase spectacular.
Come on down.
Hi.
Hi, Bonnie.
How's it going? Thank you so much for having me. This is so cool. I've never been to anything like this, and I was really nervous about it, but it's really great. It's like being in a Sims world or something. Not that I've ever played Sims, but I'm Bonnie McKee, and my film was April Kill to Survive.
Awesome. And I see Andrew popped back up. I'm going to go ahead and invite Andrew up to the stage.
All right, I think I'm on now.
Hello, Andrew. Please
I still
introduce
can't see,
yourself.
Christina's feed, but I guess I'll introduce myself anyway. I'm Andrew Ten, the writer-director of Ghost in the Gun, and it's great to be here.
Great. So I'm looking through right now. I'm seeing if we have any other filmmakers. I know that we had 2 other films that were playing in this block. We had Junior that was playing in this block. Let me go ahead and see if we have Genova, and if we have for the Secret Club, Kathy. I'm looking to see if we have Genova and Kathy in the audience. Genova and Kathy in the audience. So I have not seen Genova and Kathy in the audience. If there are any other filmmakers that I have missed going through the list, yes, I will go ahead and I will, Carrie, I will go ahead and I will bring you up to the stage as soon as we speak with the directors a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. The FIST Festival is in a virtual world. I know that you all have created a fantastic film, and you guys are just now starting out on the film festival circuit, or you've been touring your film on the film festival circuit. Would you tell us a little bit about what that experience has been like, especially ever since COVID hit? What have the festivals been like, or have the festivals been canceled that you submitted to, or are you just getting started? And let's go ahead and let's start with Bonnie.
Okay. So my film has been in about a dozen film festivals thus far. This is my first time. It's my first film. It's my first anything in this world. And so experiencing it for the first time virtually is a little bizarre. Some of them, honestly, because a lot of them were monthly. And so I would get a thing and be like, oh my gosh, I made it in. And then it would be like, okay, and it's in 3 days. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, cool. And then I'd be like, how do I watch it? And then it would be a third-party player streaming thing. And then I'd just miss it and be like, okay, cool. So this film played somewhere and I have no idea how that works. So you were great with the communication. And this is unlike any of the other ones I've been to. I spoke on one panel for the Big Apple Film Fest, so that was cool. But otherwise, honestly, I've missed a lot of them because I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah. You don't get it?
No, I mean, I just don't, just trying to stream things with third-party things and the whole, it's just.
Oh, the third-party things. I was like, your film is so good. I'm surprised it doesn't get it.
No, it got in. It just, I don't know how to stream it myself. So I'm just like, cool. Well, I won some stuff and that's great. And I don't know who watched it or when it played or how that works. So awesome. Got some laurels.
Well, it's okay. Maybe I feel like the fact that you were able to navigate through this particular platform, and you were able to come to, because I saw you at the different Q&As. So I think that's a huge win. This is a very interesting. It's a very robust piece of technology, a technological platform.
Impressive.
So I think that for our audience and for you all, if you were able to get in, then I think that you guys did a great job. We're killing it. You guys deserve a gold star. All right. Same question to Matt Ryuda.
Yeah. So this is the 3rd online festival I've been to, but the first one I've attended because, like Bonnie, I think Bonnie, you were in the Tri-State New York International one, right? Yeah, and they gave us a notice 2 days before, and I was like, I couldn't get it together, because I think. It's just harder right now. Everything's a little bit harder, a little bit more, more complicated, and a lot of more patience is needed on everybody's part. And so I'm grateful. Thank you, Christina, for including our film. This is the first time I've been able to show it to my cast and crew, my friends, the world.
Awesome.
And you put on an excellent festival. You're so hospitable and so very hands-on and community oriented, and you help the filmmakers and support them, and that's incredibly important, especially right now. And can't thank you enough. And again, I'm grateful because festivals have been getting canceled, or they're online, but you can't watch it online or that. And I'm grateful to be screening my film here because as all these filmmakers know, it's freaking hard to make a film, and especially one that means a lot to you, and to let it go and to put it out there in the world. And so gratitude, attitude. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And same question, Matthew Ramsauer.
Yeah, we actually just finished the film last week, so this would be the first. This would be the first, or I guess a few weeks ago, really, but this is the first festival for All Shook Up online. More so. It's my second online attending a festival as well. And so I've, gotten to see the online platforms as well and how they're working. And again, I repeat what Matthew said, Christina, this is a really cool platform. I think you've really utilized this really well. And it's given people an avenue to do stuff like this Q&A and to go hang out on a fake sailboat. Like it's cool. Like, that's something we're all looking forward to than being stuck at our homes. And just to really talk about our films. And the whole point of festivals is networking. And, you really bring that out through this online platform. And I think this is a really good festival to be utilized. And so we're really thankful for you having the film. And we know that you had a big help in that as well for that film. And so I'll appreciate to that.
Great. Thanks, Matt. And also Andrew, same question.
I can't hear Christina, so you may need to feed me the question in the chat.
Yes. So let me find you, Andrew. Sharing experiences with prior festivals, actually during COVID. And I love
so I was able
here.
to go to maybe like 2 or 3 before COVID hit, and yeah, that was fun. It's always cool to see films in the theater, and then just to get to chat with fellow filmmakers, but also like the audience, because the people that like your film, they're really vocal, and it's great to get their feedback directly, because when you're making a film, like, you never really know how people are going to actually perceive it. So it's great when you do get, support and, compliments from the audience.
All right. So I just want to say before we go further, for everybody in the audience, if you at any point in time have a question that you want to answer, feel free to scroll over to the right-hand sidebar, and there's a Q&A. Just go ahead and type in your question. And as soon as I'm done making my rounds with my questions, we will go ahead and we will go into the Q&A portion of our festival. And during the Q&A portion is actually when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invite some cast and crew. The thing is, with this particular Q&A, it caps out at 9 people. And so I would like to leave one. I would like to leave one open, because if somebody in the audience has a question, then I want to bring the audience. I want to bring the audience member asking the question up on stage. So some other questions that I have for these filmmakers is the great. I think it's so great. I know April Bonnie for April Kills a Vibe. I know that you filmed this film specifically during COVID, and Matthew, I know that you also filmed your film during COVID as well. Matthew and Andrew, did you guys film your film during COVID, or was this before the pandemic, or before the pandemic / lockdown?
Which Matthew?
Oh, Ryuda.
Oh, okay, yeah. We did. I filmed mine Easter of 2019, and then fall of 2019. We had a pickup shoot.
Okay, so you guys did it right before everything got shut down.
Yeah, like when did years are starting to collide together. Fall of 2018. Wait.
Fall of 2018.
Yeah, something like that. Andrew, answer, and I'll come up with the answer there. I can't remember the year now.
Andrew, did refreshing did changing your browser do the trick? Can you hear me now? I don't know if you can hear me. Did it work? I know that with Filmocracy, something that some people have said is the Chrome browser seems to work a little bit better than Safari, which is, I think, something that you kind of learn through trial and error. No, I can only see 2 of the video feeds. Okay, perfect. I can't see or hear you. Okay, so
yeah, I was right. It was April 2019 and April in the fall of 2019.
Got it.
So for Ghost in the Gun, we actually filmed this 5 years ago, and we filmed it, across many weekends, and it was maybe a total of 2.5 months. But the edit was brutal, so it took a while to kind of figure it out, because the early edits weren't really working. So finally, one of my friends, started working with me, and we kind of cracked it, and we ended up finishing it up in 2019. So I was looking forward to the 2020 film festivals, but then COVID.
So Bonnie and Matthew Ramsauer, I know that both of you created your films during COVID. So would you share your experiences of what inspired you to decide to make the film during COVID, and what that process was like? We'll go ahead and we'll start with Bonnie.
Yeah, I originally set out to shoot a scene for my acting reel. I'm a pop musician by trade. I write songs for pop stars, but I've done a little acting in the past. And I think when COVID hit, everyone started sort of looking at their life and going like, what do I really want to do? And so I was like, well, I've been wanting to get an acting thing together. So my acting coach, Tom Draper, who's great, gave me a few scenes that I was going to maybe do. And then I was rehearsing them, and I was like, I just am not connecting with this. And I had this idea for a larger project relating to April Kills the Vibe. And I just been kicking it around, and I was like, well, I'm just going to write a scene from that and just do it myself. It's based on a true story, so that's easy because then you know how it ends. And I also, I was worried about finding actors, or like casting it because of the pandemic. And so I was like, well, I'll just play both characters. And then once I started writing it, I was like, wait, it totally makes sense to play both characters because I've been on both sides of that story. I've been both girls in that situation. And it was fun to get to, and also if it's for my acting reel, then it was good that I got to do 2 different characters and show my range, and I just shot it in my house. I shot it in my house and my boyfriend's house. And I got my boyfriend to play my boyfriend. So it was really just like me and my friends, fooling around and seeing what we could come up with. And I'd never intended to submit it to festivals. It was just going to be a calling card for like, look, I can act, I can direct, I can write, whatever. I also edited it myself.
Wow.
That's great.
Pain in the ass. That was the hardest part. But yeah, and then I finished it, and I heard that the film festivals were all happening, and I was like, well, why not? Shoot for the stars, land on the moon. So so I went ahead and submitted it, and I've gotten into all these festivals, and I've won a bunch of stuff. So who knew? Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, no, I honestly think the thing that I loved about your story was just, me, myself, I'm an actor as well, an actor turned filmmaker, just because I feel like that is a lot of the times the only way that you get to create opportunities for yourself, because there's so many politics that go on within Hollywood, and there's so many favors, you know, of people on the inside, that it's really hard to get inside as an outsider, right?
Yeah, and also the little bit of acting that I've done in the past, I feel like I've never been handed something where I'm like, yes, I agree with this, and I've never gotten a script that I didn't want to change completely, you know. And it turns out I'm a writer, so I might as well just write my own stuff.
Yes, no, and I think that you did such a great job. But you being new to everything, how did you find the crew? How did you find the DP? Like, I actually know your DP, Dawn.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's so
How did you find her? How did you find your editor? How did you find the crew?
Well, I edited it myself. And I've made a lot of music videos. I've been making music videos for 20 years, you know, just being an artist. And, you know, my ex-boyfriend was a director. My current boyfriend is also a director. So just all my friends are kind of like in the scene. So we just pulled a lot of favors. And then Dawn was recommended to me by my friend, Molly Tarlov, who's an actress. And, yeah, so I just kind of, between me and my friends, we all know enough people that we kind of put together a skeleton crew. And it was a skeleton crew. It was very small. Everyone wore their masks. We all got tested, la-di-da. And just made it work. Yeah.
That's awesome. So Matthew, how about you? Because I know that you also filmed your film during COVID.
Yeah. Filming during COVID was a little bit of a challenge just because we wanted to try to, you know, prevent, the more days you shoot, the more risk you have. And we really wanted to try to utilize that. So we crammed our whole 14 script page into a 2-day shoot and just basically tried to make it work. We had a skeleton crew. We had everyone the week before just try to not, you know, go out to eat at every restaurant and go hang out with everybody and just try to be a little more limited, just to be safe with everyone. We followed rules, have everyone wear masks. And we had which I actually recommend for future COVID films on set, is we had a medic / kind of COVID person on set, where basically just checking temperatures. And I think there was one character who he was about to go on and he had like a temperature, I think it was like 98 and it was rising. And we're like, oh gosh, like, can we cast him or not? Like, what are we going to do? We have to keep everyone safe. And then his temperature went back down. But all in all, it was definitely a challenge, but I think it really taught me a lot, because it helps you learn in like a faster paced environment, and also just working with the budget you have and the cast and crew you have and the locations you have, because, you know, like you were saying, Bonnie, we also had a limited location. We just used 2 locations, and then outside is a lot easier during COVID. But, you know, I really learned a lot for how to direct and how to also utilize your time. Knowing what you want ahead of time, and knowing just when the shot isn't working and you've done it for the 5th time, what's something different you can come up with on the fly. And it definitely really educates you for future films, even when COVID isn't around. So I kind of, you know, COVID isn't fun, but I kind of appreciate it in a way because it kind of grew me a little more in just a different aspect.
And, you know, I think that I am so glad. We've had several filmmakers who submitted their films that they actually filmed during COVID, and I love that idea, because I just feel like in life it's very, you know, unexpected things happen, right? Things that just kind of take our emotions, you know, on this crazy emotional roller coaster. And the thing is, it's really up to us. Like, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to look at the negative, or are we going to try to find the silver lining? Are we going to try to find the positive and make something positive during this time? So I love surrounding myself around people who are like-minded, because I know from myself, for this film festival, I actually wasn't going to do it this year. I was actually just going to shut it down, especially because I had just had my second child. My second child, he turns 1 next month. And I was living in San Francisco. I work for Salesforce. That's my day job. And it was just way too hard with all the daycares being shut down. I also have a 2.5-year-old, and the parks were closed down. Everything was shut down in the city. And my husband and I, we live right next to Salesforce Tower. We were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and it was just it was just so, so hard. I just remember. And I just remember I was like, this is unsustainable. Like I am not going to be able to make it. And so I actually ended up transferring through work, and my mom lives in South Jersey. So I moved to South Jersey in May. I just picked up my family and we moved. And the thing is, because I was now in New Jersey, I was like, it doesn't make sense to have this festival because every year we have it at Salesforce, we have it at Google, and that's where the speed networking takes place with the tech professionals. And then we screen the films at the AMC at the Metreon in downtown San Francisco. It's this big event. But, you know, that wasn't a reality this year. So again, I was just thinking about just, oh, well, I'm not going to have it this year. You know, like everybody will understand. And then Paul, who is the one of the founders of Filmocracy, this platform, he messaged me on LinkedIn. And he said, hey, are you going to have your festival this year? You know, like, are you thinking about going virtual? And I was like, oh, you know, like the thought had crossed my mind. And then so he actually asked me if I wanted to see a demo of this platform. And so I said, yes. And when I saw the platform, I was just so blown away. And I was so amazed because even though, you know, nothing takes the place of in-person screenings, in-person networking, you know, this came pretty damn close. You know, it's way better than I've been to other virtual festivals where it was just a Zoom link. And this is so much cooler than just a Zoom link. I love that there was the option of having an on-demand building where they have all the films that you could watch in your own time. And so after I saw it, I was sold. I was like, oh my gosh, like, let's do it. And, you know, it's the Kickstarter campaign. It was a Filmocracy was a startup. It is a startup. And they successfully had funding in March. And so they launched in March. And his partner, his co-founder, Phil, who has been amazing. He's on the back end. He's the one, you know, answering, you know, and helping you guys direct you guys to places. He's the one who's helped a lot. Gosh, you know, it's like, it's amazing to me that these people got this platform, like created this platform for us, you know, to use, and that it's been really successful. So yeah, it's like, that's how this came about. So I am all about, you know, during these bad times, like pulling out the positive. And I feel like when you have that mindset, you accomplish so much more in your life. I mean, who wants to be around someone who's negative all the time? You know, I sure don't. I have like way too much going on to be bogged down by people who are really negative all the time. So I feel like that's why, you know, we are able to be successful. So I'm going to pivot into another question for all of you all. What are you all working on next? What's the project that you are working on next after this? And just for our audience to know, if you go to our website, www.siliconvalleyfilm.com, if you click on Pitches on Demand, you can actually see a lot of our filmmakers pitching and talking about their next project. And if I encourage you to take a look, you know, at their pitch videos. And I also included their email addresses. And if, you know, if during this, you know, we have a month left in this year, you know, and if you want a chance to create something or partner with somebody or like have it end on a high note, I highly recommend reaching out to some of these filmmakers. These filmmakers are incredibly open and they want to connect with you, which is why they have their information out there. Their pitches are, you know, they're public, they're made public, you know, so that you can see them. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with Matthew Ryuta. What project are you working on next?
You can hear me. Okay. So like any artist, I've got several things on the fire right now. One's on low, one's on medium high, one's on, you know, medium. And so right now, Across is a part of a short film quartet based on the elements, earth, air, water, and fire. And I have shot the other two shorts for earth and water, which are Sharks and Minnows and Lunch Lady. Across is the air element. And then we just shot our fourth film, Median, which is about a protest that happens within the LGBTQ community. and we shot it in Oakland down by the Grand Lake Theater, and that is the fire element. It's called median, as in like a place between in a road that's between two opposing streets. And so we shot that during COVID, actually, talk about the same thing. And it was, like you said, Matthew, very, very, you economize everything and you hurry up and you get the stuff done. And so we just shot that. And what I'm hoping is that when that gets done, we can screen all 4 of them at the same time, because they're supposed to go one into the other one. Because I don't know if you noticed in Across, the young gentleman who's crossing the street when Nate is at the light, he's holding the Fags for Freedom poster, or the what do you call it, the sign. He's the next main character in the next short. And so getting that done, I've been pitching Lucky Star, which is a film about a kid who's obsessed with Madonna, wants to win a singing contest, enlists the help of a retired opera diva on his paper route. And thank you, Christina, for allowing me to pitch that at this one. And then I'm working on a TV show, pitching that, and another TV show as well. And then I have another film that's based on Across, on a feature film, and that's already been written, and I want to direct that.
Awesome.
Just a few things.
So awesome. That's great. I mean, I feel like you have to keep yourself busy. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I'm not busy, I just fall into a really, really dark place. So I feel like I have to be busy.
Yeah. Devil. What is that? Idleness is the devil's playground. Idleness is the devil's
idle
playground.
hands are the devil's tool. Yeah. They absolutely are.
I hear you. And you're right. Very much. COVID is a time for creativity. So let's keep on creating.
Yes. It's all about mentality. So let's go ahead and go to Bonnie.
Well, I made this on a whim on August 2nd, and then I submitted it on August 15th. Or sorry, September 15th. And this is my first time doing this. It was like a lifelong dream of mine, and so I'm just like figuring it out. Again, April Kills the Vibe is part of a bigger idea that I have for hopefully a show. It would be more music based. And you know, I'd love to get an agent. I'd love to meet some people. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just like got into a film festival. I'm here talking about it. I'm excited to work, and I'm excited that I tried my hand at screenwriting and it worked. So it's kind of just like day one for me. I'm just taking baby steps, and I'd love to learn more about it. And I also act. So I don't know. Hit me up. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, no, Bonnie. Like I highly recommend you go to our pitches on demand. Go to our pitches on demand.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, yeah, just watch other people pitch, right? Because I'm like, I don't know.
Watch, like the thing is like if you go to our pitches on demand, like on our website, and you watch these filmmakers talking about their next project, like if you find something you're interested in, like reach out to them, just be like, hey, you know, like I was at the Silicon Valley International Film Festival too, and I'm an actor, you know, it's like, I love your project because of X, Y, and Z, you know, like I would love to work together. It's something as simple as that, you know, it's like, I feel like all the filmmakers at my festival, they're so open. And again, they wouldn't be putting their information out there if they didn't want people to reach out to them.
Great.
Right.
Well, I mean,
and so I feel like this is potentially like a good acting opportunity for you too, to work with like the director that, you know, you want to work with. And again, the reason why I implement that part of my festival is because that's what I want as an actor, you know, and it's like, because there isn't anything like that out there, like, why not create it? You know, why not create it yourself? Because again, like as an actor, I would go to these, you know, I became a filmmaker too out of necessity. I would go to these different film festivals. I would see these incredibly talented directors, like the next Steven Spielberg, like the next big deal type of directors. And I wanted to connect with them, but it's so hard to connect with people. It was so hard for me to connect with people at the festivals. But what I noticed is that they connected with the film festival organizer. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to become a film festival organizer. So that's what I did, you know, and it's so easy to connect with directors. And so I purposely wanted to turn my festival into a place where other people that are like me, that want to connect with directors and filmmakers could.
Smart.
So take advantage of it, Bonnie. Next, Andrew, now that you're back with your sound
Yeah.
and you can hear what we're talking about now.
Sorry about the technical
same question
difficulties.
to you. No, you're fine. You're totally fine. Happens to the best of us.
But that's a filmmaking, right? You just got to roll with the punches and problem solve on the fly.
Yes. So Andrew, so the question that I had for everyone was, what are you working on next?
I'm not sure yet. So Ghost in the Gun was actually originally meant to be like a series, like a TV show with different characters each episode tied together with like the Ghost in the Gun. But I don't know, for some reason during the pandemic I haven't been that inspired to actually sit down and write the scripts for them, even though I have a bunch of like ideas kind of mapped out. And then otherwise, it took so long to actually finish the film originally. I just wanted to take 2020 off and just enjoy the film festivals before I poured myself back into it.
All right, and Matthew Ramsauer, same question for you.
Yeah, thanks. I am currently working on a short film about human trafficking and shooting it next month. And I shot a PSA a few years ago, and it was a little 90-second PSA that an organization hired me out to do, and it was a really unique opportunity, and it just never went anywhere. So decided to make something a little more big that could get noticed, but not just something for let's just make this film, but an educational purpose. That there's a lot of people that I think a lot of people know about human trafficking. You say the word, you know what it is, but no one knows like the details or like what women go through or what people that don't know about it, like just all the behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and just how scary it really is, and how much we'd really need to push to like just support organizations or find ways to help in that area. So it's a narrative short about trafficking is all I can say for now. And the additional one is it's in my pitch on the pitches online, but I'm doing a faith-based film, and this is about alternate dimensional travel, and kind of like taking Narnia, but trying to make it more realistic, essentially. And so essentially a film about trafficking and a film about alternate dimensional travel. So two opposite ends, but both very exciting to me.
Awesome. So Matthew, do you have anybody in the audience, like anybody in the cast in the audience today?
Matthew, which one?
Ryuda?
Let's call me Matt and him Matthew, and we can drink it a little better.
Aku is here. He's my main actor. Nate, and then Dana Terrell is here. She played Linda on the phone. Wonderful Dana and Aku. Dana and Aku, if you want to come up, I guess raise your hand, right?
Yes. So I'm actually going to bring some cast up on stage. I also know that Carrie from Matthew's film is in the audience. Bonnie, do you have anybody in the audience, or Andrew? Okay, perfect. You know what? This actually works out really great because it caps out at 9 in terms of like the people that can be here at the same time. And I did want to leave a slot open for anybody who had questions. So I'm going to go right into our first question from Heidi. And Heidi, I'm going to go ahead. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You'll have to correct me when you come up on stage. I'm going to go ahead and invite you on stage as well. So the question that we have from
Yeah, you
Heidi,
pronounced it right.
Oh, great. Heidi, go ahead and ask your question, please.
I don't know all of Matthew's life experiences and everything. It was very personal and felt very true. And I didn't know if it is based on a true story or if it's something you related. It was very compelling and beautifully done. I just didn't know how you came up with it.
And that's for Matthew. Okay.
Matthew Ryuta.
Yeah, so this film is, like I said, it's based on a bigger script that is about it's about a gay club promoter from Oakland, a black gay club promoter from Oakland, who witnesses the suicide of a young gay kid in San Francisco, and he ends up befriending the father of that kid and forms an unlikely friendship over the fact that both their sons have died, and the white father's a meter maid. And so what I did is that I wanted to take a part of that film, as we all know, as Bonnie's saying, as you, Christina says, you know, you got to show it, you know, in order for people to see it, to believe that you can do it. And so I think I took one of the hardest scenes out of that movie, which is driving on the Bay Bridge, and took it and wanted to make a proof of concept. I didn't make Nate in this, the father, a gay man in this, this rendition, but the heart is there. And a lot of this, my father died 6 months before I filmed this. And so I just I was grieving at the time. And he had like a 2-year bout with cancer. And so this is for my dad, and I know my dad's here with me right now. And so I put a lot of the grief that I was feeling for him into that film and just funneled it. And it's amazing. Aku, when he comes up, he probably can attest to this. I mean, it's just very weird. I was thinking about this last night. What are you going to say? I'm sure everybody thinks that. But, you know, like I wrote this script 3 years before my father passed, 2 years before my father passed. I tried so many times to get on the bridge to shoot it. And I do this normally. I find locations for TV shows and films up here. I've worked on Fruitvale Station. I've worked on Milk. I've worked on The Master, Paul Thomas Anderson. And so that's easy stuff for me. And every time I would try to do it, they said I couldn't have it because they were detonating the bridge, the old bridge that was up here. So I couldn't get on the bridge. So by the time I got there, I had obviously they had detonated the bridge. But a real quick story, and then I'll get off about this, is that I had written the script 3 years before, and the date that Derek, his son, commits suicide on the phone, I wrote it, and it's 11/12, 2018 or whatever. Well, my dad died 2 days later. It was actually I wrote that date down of his death in the script before my dad died 2 years later, and I put those things together, and I was like, well, Dad's with you and he wants you to make this now. And so like I said, I shot it on Easter, father-son relationship. There was just a lot of things were happening. As you know, whatever you believe in spirit, all these artists know this, is that you find these signs along the way, and to make what you need to do. And like, I got to keep on going. I got the green light. I keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of my father in that film, and my relationship to him, and how we had a good relationship, but a distant relationship.
Well, thank you. It was very well done.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi, for your question. So the next question we have is, so Aku, I think Aku is on the stage, but we can't hear him. Is that correct? Heidi? Or not Heidi, Aku? Okay, so Aku, feel free to utilize the chat if there's anything that you want to say. The next question comes from Susan Benville, so I'm going to go ahead and bring Susan up on the stage to ask her question. Susan, come on up to the stage.
You can hear me?
Susan?
Yeah, I'm here, but you can't hear me. Check the chat.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, you can. Okay, great.
Yes,
Because
feel free to ask your
it was
question.
telling me that my mic wasn't working. This is a question for Matthew Ryuda. I was just really super impressed by the cinematography on the bridge, and was just really interested to know how you manage the challenges of shooting on the Bay Bridge, and even just like within the city of San Francisco, because I thought just cinematically you created so much tension and so much of the story through just the amazing shots that you took, including like from inside the car and catching, the shot of the bridge. And I just thought that was like, how did you put that all together and sort of from your imagination until the point where you actually were on the Bay Bridge shooting?
Well, I'm very fascinated by bridges. I've always had a sort of like fascination with them since I was a teenager. I love a big Bay Bridge, a Golden Gate Bridge, or even a small bridge you come to when you're walking on a trail. I think they're wonderful because I think we're all bridges. I think that I'm a bridge. I connect people. I'm a really great connector, and like Christina is. And I always thought that character, the third character in this, is the bridge, and that's Nate's demon. And so that bridge has always got to be seen somewhere in the rear mirror, or if it's got to be straight ahead, something's got to be. It's always got to be on screen in some sort of way. And I love Krzysztof Kozlowski, who did the Colors trilogy, and the Double Life of Veronique, and he does a lot of shots that tell what's going on in the character's head rather than them saying it. And I can think you can, like they say, a picture tells 1,000 words. So I wanted to convey all that and what he's going through, especially with the prayer card, and for shooting on the bridge. I mean, I had five CHP with me who were slowing the traffic down behind me. That was cheap, I'll tell you that. And so we were on a low tow dolly, which is basically, there's a big pickup truck that's hooked up to the cars hooked up in the back, and the cars, the wheels are like 3 inches off the ground. And so we're on the back of the Loto Dolly, the pickup truck, with the crew of like 10 people. And I'm on the walkie looking in a screen while I'm looking at the actors, trying to direct them, yelling at them to, touch the rearview mirror or do it again, go back to one, and all that stuff. While the cops are slowing the traffic down. They call it a Cicey, if you're out there, I don't know, you're a location manager, I can't think of it. It's the brake. I can't think of the name of the brake. But they slow the traffic down so the traffic doesn't catch up to you for safety. And so, it's all about safety, and that's what I'm always about with production. Safety comes first. And so, I mean, does that answer your question?
That totally does. I just thought it was so well done that you got the interior of the car, reflecting the interior of the character, and then the exterior as well, just like the way you kept capturing that. That was awesome.
Well, yeah, Jason Noel, who's the grip on here, Stephen Condiotti, a fabulous DP who owns DTC here in the Bay Area, and Mila Puccini, who's the gaffer. All of the cast and crew made it really completely safe, and Steve created a lot of those shots angled up or over, etc. They had a hostess tray to get the action that was on the outside. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of prep. It was a lot of prep before we did it. That's what it's all about.
It sounds amazing, and congratulations to everyone else for your films. I really enjoyed them. Bonnie, that was certainly an awesome first shot. That was amazing. So
Thank you.
And Christina, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for your question. All right, we have another question. Let's go to Jeff. we'll go ahead and bring Jeff up to the stage. All right, Jeff, come on up to the stage. Oh, bye. Bye. That is my 2.5-year-old, everyone.
Oh, cute. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, my question's for Bonnie. This might be a super kind of obvious question, but it goes without saying that music and film kind of go hand in hand. And I think the coolest thing about a song is creating a music video to sort of bring that song to life and give it a visual and a sort of a new dimension. So I guess on the other side of the fence, as a filmmaker, how did music play a role in your film? Was it inspired by any songs that you've written? And maybe can you tell us a little bit more about your plan to maybe make this into a series inspired by music?
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I'm a songwriter by trade. That's what I do, and so I'm used to writing songs, but scoring something is a completely different ballgame. I made the mistake of thinking that my picture was locked and scoring it, and then being like, "Wait, I need to cut stuff out," and then it changes everything. I mean, it was a nightmare. I learned a lot. I mean, the reason that I made this film was to learn what I don't know, so that I'm better next time, you know. But I scored it with my boyfriend, Andy Harry, who's in a great band called Cobra Man. And we just like, I have a studio in my house. And so we just sat down and we were trying all these different chords and at the beginning of the film for the waking up scene. And I was like, I want to do something that sounds like you're remembering something one piece at a time. So I started a melody with one note, and then I would do the same melody, but add another one and add another one and add another one. So that by the end of it, it makes a full melody that's like tragic and you know, haunting. But I wanted to build the melody so that it was one memory at a time, where you're putting the pieces together like, oh my God, what happened? So that was really fun to make music like that. I've never done anything like that before. I've written songs for movies plenty of times, and I've always really enjoyed it. And I have been sitting on this. I mean, I have hundreds of songs that are unreleased that I've been sitting on for my own artist project. And I started writing an autobiography about my experience being in the music industry and working with all of these big pop stars and everything. And the songs are dated now because I wrote them several years ago. And I was like, you know what I should do? I should just like combine this biography that I'm writing and make a show and use the songs in the show. And I think it would be interesting to watch the personal dramas behind the scenes of the songwriters and the artists, and how that writes a song, basically. So, you know, yes, there is a song that goes along with this horrible thing that happened to me when I was still drinking. I'm going to be 9 years sober in February. And this was kind of my rock bottom story. And I just think it'll be a fun, I wanted to do more than just like put out an album and make music videos to tell the stories. And I wanted to try my hand at writing dialogue, and really just like building a hero's journey. So I actually hired a professor of mythology, and I learned all about the hero's journey, and that's been really interesting. And there are a lot of similarities between pop songwriting, which is very structured, and screenwriting. It's funny, like once you learn the formula for something, because there is a formula to pop songwriting and there is a formula to screenwriting. I mean, there are different ways to do it, but seeing the similarities in that was really inspiring for me. And, you know, my goal is to be kind of like a singing, dancing Phoebe Waller-Bridge, you know? So this show that I would like to eventually pitch and write a proper pilot for, if that's even a thing people do anymore, is kind of a dark comedy musical, essentially. I loved Fleabag, I loved Killing Eve, and she's, you know, a hero of mine. So I'd like to do that with a musical twist. So does that answer your question?
Totally. And I hope we get to hear Forever 21 someday.
One of these days. Maybe you'll hear it on the show.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thanks so much for coming.
All right, it looks like we have another question from the audience. I'm going to go ahead and invite Dana up on the stage. Dana, I'm going to pull you up on stage to ask your question. I think you're actually, oh, Dana is not here. I don't see Dana. Okay, so we are going to go to the next person, the next question. Russ is here. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and bring Russ. Russ is actually another one of our filmmakers. Come on up to the stage, Russ.
I'm back. Hi. Yeah, it's a question for Andrew. How did you get Tuvok? I'm a big Star Trek fan. So,
Christina, can you repeat the question for me? I'm having trouble hearing Russ's speed.
Oh, no. Russ hasn't asked
I'm
the question
sorry.
yet. Russ, hello.
Can you hear me?
Welcome.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
With your question.
Oh no, I'm yeah, you probably Christina, you probably know, but I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Yes.
So so I just have to ask Andrew how you got Tuvok, because that's pretty awesome.
That was very serendipitous. One of my producers was like, we should find, sort of a higher visibility actor to, raise the visibility of the film. And I had just been helping out a friend working on a TV show that was it's called Got Movie. And he was interviewing a producer who worked with, Star Trek actors in, other projects. So I said to my producers, I actually might know someone who can connect us with one of those people. And so Ryan T. Husk was the producer, and he was, very generous and nice. And he, connected me with Tim Russ, and Tim was great. He was very down to earth, and, he looked at the script and he agreed to do it. So I was, very blown away. I didn't think something like that would happen, but you never know until you ask. So we just kind of lucked out.
Well, it helped. I mean, it's especially in the beginning. So just want to say, congratulations.
Yeah, so the other interesting thing is we didn't film that opening scene at the same time as when we filmed 5 years ago. We actually did that in 2019. Originally, he was just doing the voiceover for the Ghost in the Gun, but then we realized it'd be better if you could see who that person was on camera. So we filmed him on green screen down in Burbank in 2019, and he was very gracious to do that as well, and just spot on with his acting, and it actually, I felt it helped to improve my confidence on as a director as well. So it was a ton of fun working with him.
Well, it looked good. I couldn't tell it was green screen. So
Wow.
Then we did our job.
Oh, and just congratulations to all the filmmakers. I know I'm asking Andrew the question, but just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much,
course.
Russ. Thanks for your question. All right, and I see that Dana is actually back on stage. So Dana, if you can go ahead and ask your question, that would be awesome. Oh wait, where did Matthew go? Here. Oh, Matthew's back on. Oh, let's call Matthew back onto the stage.
I hope I didn't kick Matthew off.
It's okay. No, I don't think it was you.
Like showgirls. Get out of here, Gina. Know me, I mean? No, she kicked Gina down the stairs. That's who it was.
Dana, can you turn on your microphone? So in the event that Dana cannot turn on the microphone, the question for you, Matthew Ryuta, is there a common string that runs through each of your 4 films?
Yes, love. Love. We need more love, and it's about all my filmmaking right now has been about heart and love, because I just feel we need a lot more of it right now in this world, and I think we need to see personal struggle and all my films are about social justice. Lunch Lady was about food equity in schools and nutrition and bullying. especially bullying against lunch ladies, because students. It was based on my mom, who had apples always thrown at her through the cafeteria at her while she was working. And Sharks and Minnows is based on a gay kid's first kiss, and that's about love. Aku, in Across, who should come up. I would love Aku to come up because I think he's waiting, but it's about.
No,
it's about that's about grief, and then Median is going to be about anger, which we have which our nation has a lot of anger right now, because some folks don't tolerate each other and just don't accept each other for the beautifulness that we all aren't, the same, the similarities, but we are the differences that we have, and changing anger and the ability to change anger into love. And so love is the thing that binds them all. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that, Dana. Okay, so we are at time, but I wanted to ask one more final question for all the filmmakers up here. And so Carrie was in Matt Ramsauer's film All Shook Up, and she is actually also a director herself. She actually had her film screen at our festival last year. Her film was titled Fast Forward Style. And you can actually catch her film in the On Demand building. So, when you guys are moseying on over to the On Demand building, take a look at her film as well. Her film is Fast Forward Style. But the final question I have for everybody is, how has your confidence as a director changed with each project that you have undertaken? And this could not just be limited to film, but it could just be any creative project where you were taking, the reins and you were being a director role. So let's go ahead and start with Matt.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Christina. It's a great question because my film is actually about confidence. And I know probably some of you didn't get to see it with the on this live viewing being a little choppy. I just sent the wrong format, my fault. But you can just go to On Demand and watch it. It's called All Shook Up. But my confidence level gained a lot here. I think, like I was saying earlier about working, doing a 2-day push, is you really have to, again, know your stuff, and you have to have full confidence in doing that. And if you don't have confidence, you're not going to be a good director, and your whole cast and crew is going to be looking up to you, and you're the one who has to lead them through all that, and your cast. And so this film really is what my confidence film was, and the whole story is about a guy who has to gain confidence through asking a girl out and talking to his boss, and that's because that used to be me growing up, was gaining confidence. So it's definitely this film that gave me those confidence to push forward. And the next projects I talked about earlier are much more higher, bigger anticipated projects than this one and the past ones I've done. So it really helps push the bar and set it higher.
Thank you so much for that. That was such a great answer. Let's go ahead and go to Matthew Ryuta.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like Matt said, I think you touched on this last night, Christina, is like, if you're scared of it, you do it anyway, and you keep on pushing through, because that's the greatest learning mechanism, is to push through your fear. I started out in this business 17 years ago, and I was scared as hell to be a gay young man working in the industry. I know that might be cliche, but because there's a lot of gay guys working in the industry, but I was, and I gained my confidence every time I did a project, especially when I became the manager of a department and had to work on a TV show for HBO, or working on a Paul Thomas Anderson film. That was my first gig that I did on The Master as a location manager. And I thought to myself, thank you, Dad. Don't fuck this shit. Don't screw this shit up, basically, because my reputation is on the line, and I need to push through. And like Matt said, you keep on pushing through. And then, every project got easier as a location manager. And I don't want to say this, but it didn't get easier, but I knew what to do. So my next challenge for me, and I'm sure Bonnie feels this way as a songwriter, is that you have to give up something almost to go to the next level that you want to do. And so directing is always why I went into the film industry. And I felt like I went through my college graduate years with my 17 years. It was a long college degree to get through film production 101 and to learn the ropes and to know people and to get to know people and know all the departments. And then I was ready to finally take that next step into directing. And that has all been about me and meaning and pushing past myself and saying that I, getting past all the demons of myself that say that you can't do it, but you keep on pushing through it anyway. And it's gotten easier every time to do it because I'm more confident in what I do. And now I'm ready to, I have no doubt that I can direct my feature because I've went through working with kids, working with food, working with water, working with a bridge, working with traffic, working with protesters, working with protesters on a street by the Grand Lake Theater who are calling people the FAGGOT word while they're driving by, and and dealing with cops, all that stuff. And it's just strengthened myself as a director that I know that I can do anything and even keep it going. So I say for anybody who's out there who's a young filmmaker, just do it. Just do it. Find your resources around you. There is always someone there around you to help you out if you just look for it. Don't look to LA. If you're living in Shelbyville, Indiana, I put that out there, Dana Terra, that's our hometown. If you're in Shelbyville, Indiana, don't look to LA. Look to Indianapolis. Look in, Franklin, Indiana, the neighboring city. There's two filmmakers. Bring them together and just make your film.
For that, Carrie, I don't know if you if your video and your mic is on, but if it is, same question for you too. Just how have you as a director, how have you gained confidence through each project that you've undertaken?
I like Diamond. I like this one.
I hear your kids.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. By the way, I really would like some kids one day. It turns out that's a really complicated, journey. I really think your kids are probably adorable. To kind of piggyback off of what was just said about I think, I just want to continue, and unfortunately it's hard to build confidence when you only get a chance to do something maybe once a year or twice a year in a non-COVID year, to be succinct, I've gotten to the point where I don't need to write something that's going to change the world necessarily. I sent something to Chad Hill the other day, just hey, what is this about? Is it something I can cut my teeth on and get some practice? Because, a lot of us really want to change the world and do socially conscious work. And then sometimes if you can't come up with a life-changing, premise, sometimes it's okay to just settle for whatever weird thing that comes out of your brain that may have comedic value or just something to practice on. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Thank you so much for that, Carrie. Bonnie, same question.
Making this film was really great for my confidence. I mean, it turned out so much better than I thought it would. It was really just an experiment. And the idea of directing something, of writing a screenplay, of, producing this whole thing sounded so far away and so distant to me and so impossible because it's an industry that I have very little experience in. But then I turned around and was like, I've been making music videos and being on sets and being creative on the fly for 20 years, I know how to do that. And so just this exercise of making this humble little short, really made me realize that it's possible, that it's not unattainable at all. I mean, I guess the next mountain for me is just figuring out what the hell I'm supposed to do with it, you know? And that's why I'm here. But I'm hungry to make more, and I'm inspired to make more. And in the same way that I had an epiphany with songwriting when I first got to LA and was like, didn't have the time to just like write whenever creativity came to me. It was like, it became a job and I needed to come up with something every day. And all of a sudden I just like had an epiphany that there are song titles everywhere. And if you just are listening to conversations that people in the grocery store in line, or if you're looking at the cover of a magazine, there's titles everywhere. And I'm feeling the same way about storytelling now, where it's like anytime someone's like, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend, this thing happened, that, and I'm just like, damn, that's a short film. You know, like I'm just seeing stories everywhere now. And it's really fun and inspiring to think about, especially with short films. It's such a fun way to tell a story without having to commit to coming up with an hour and a half's worth of content that's worth watching, you know? So I did it. I took the first step. It's like that first workout where you're just like, damn it, I don't want to do this. And then you get on the treadmill and you finish and you're like, I can do it, you know? Like, I feel like it's definitely enhanced my confidence quite a lot, and I'm ready to do the next one.
So just doing it, just jumping in and doing it. Andrew, how about you?
So actually, this was my first film, my own project. I'd worked on other people's films before, but this is the first time I directed my own stuff. So it was, quite an interesting journey. And actually, I think in my mind, I really became a director in post-production because there's a lot of things in crafting the story with the edit that I didn't quite realize before, especially how, people interpret different things, visually. But also like during the process of directing, I guess I kind of start to understand, or at least wrap my brain around my own style and how I think about directing, which is, creating sandboxes for the different departments, and the actors, so that being clear on what the vision is and what you need, and being able to communicate that, clearly, so that they can then go off and then you can trust them to come up with solutions, or, get what you need without having to micromanage. And that was huge, because at the very beginning, it was like everyone was inundating me with questions, and I had to decide everything. And it was just kind of overwhelming because there were so many things I didn't even realize I didn't think about. So then it kind of evolved into this it's like a management process, not just, I guess that's what being a director is, but it wasn't something I really concretely understood until I did it. So that was, so I feel like I'm in a much better place now at the end of the project.
Awesome. And thank you so much, everyone, to all of my filmmakers who submitted your project and for showing up to promote your project. It was such a pleasure not only meeting you, but screening your film at our festival. And for everybody in our audience who maybe got here a little bit late, because of some formatting issues with some of our projects, there were a few films within our block where it didn't stream properly. So I talked with Filmocracy, and we are able to give you, we were able to upgrade your ticket to an all-day pass. So you actually have full reign to check out our festival, the rest of the festival, until midnight tonight. You can check out, there's a film block, there's another film block that's streaming right now, and there's another Q&A afterwards. And then there's actually gonna be a Filmmaking 101 panel in our speed networking building on the first floor that you all are welcome to come attend. And it just kind of gives you an opportunity to check out more of what this virtual festival is like. So the Filmmaking 101 panel is from 8 to 10, and these are all Pacific times. It's 8 to 10 Pacific time, and it's going to be in our speed networking building, or I believe it's the speed networking building, and it's going to be on the first floor. Let me just double check before I give you the wrong information, and you end up in the wrong building. Actually, no. So our Filmmaking 101, our Filmmaking 101 panel is actually going to be in this building. It's going to be in the Q&A building. So just come here, and then we're gonna go ahead and pull our filmmakers on stage. And we have about 8 filmmakers, 7, 8 filmmakers, and they're just going to be sharing their experiences on how they got started, some tips and tricks that they've encountered when making their film. And a lot of these filmmakers come from very, very different backgrounds. So if you're somebody who maybe is interested in maybe one day making a film, or you maybe have made films and you want to learn some tips and tricks, definitely come check out the panel. It's going to be in this building, the Q&A building, from 8 to 10 Pacific tonight. There is, as I said before, our final film block is streaming right now, and then there is going to be a Q&A immediately afterwards, right before our Filmmaking 101 panel. And enjoy the rest of the festival. Please go check out the on-demand films, the films that are all available on demand. And these are all the films that screened yesterday, on Friday. So you have access to every single film that was accepted and screened at our festival, in addition to some other films that our alumni filmmakers have submitted that we decided to show in our on-demand building. So definitely enjoy the rest of your time at this festival. Thank you so much again, filmmakers, for just being transparent and vulnerable and open. And I look forward to seeing you around and staying connected with you all.
Thank you so much for having us. This is really an incredible experience.